Good morning. It's Saturday, bright and early, before the EPL games even start. Um, Puppy woke me up at about 5. We've been up since. So, hopefully she's starting to wind down so I can actually do these videos successfully. Um, I was thinking about it, and last year MLS did a kind of like a breakdown of each team in the MLS, and I kind of wanted to try to take a shot at that. I might be biting off more than I can chew, but I figure I'd give it a shot. Maybe give you guys some ideas of who some good starters will be for each team, some bargain players, stuff like that. So I guess let's see what happens. All right, let's talk about Colorado. The Colorado Rapids. Puppy's here with me again. She would not stop crying. So this makes things better, huh? Mom is not up yet. And by mom, I mean my wife. So we're going to talk about Colorado. We're going to break them down a little bit, maybe talk a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to have that much to say or not. We're going to find out. I didn't plan a whole lot ahead. I have a little bit of information up here on the computer, but so let's start. I always like to start in the back with the goalies. Zach McMath, as you can see from my shirt, I am a Philadelphia Union fan, and Zach McMath was our goalie for a while, right, puppy? Right. Um, he had some ups and downs, I will say that, but the last year that he was with us, I kind of loved him. I mean, he had tons of PK saves, I think more than anybody in the league. That's saying something. I mean, yeah, he did some harebrained things, but what goalies don't? Every once in a while, they, slip up, mess up, balls pass back to him, they totally whiff on it, whatever. Um, but McMath, I think he has the potential to be a really good option. At only $5 million, I mean, that is super cheap for a starting goalie. And the only other goalie they have is Burner, who's 4.5. So if you wanted to do like a starting goalie in their backup, Colorado wouldn't be the worst option in the world. I mean, yeah, they might not get a whole lot of shutouts, um, but still, I mean, you never know when a team's going to get scored on. I mean, there's a lot of statistics. Sorry, it's still early and I don't drink coffee. Statistics out there, about home versus away, things like that. But there's bonus points. There's all kinds of things. McMath is a good goalie, and he's still pretty young, so I think he'll get better as he goes. And hopefully his defenders will help him out, which we'll move on to next. Bobby Burling and Shawberry, I think that's how you say it, will probably be sharing the center back roles. St. Ledger, if you look on your fantasy site, he's worth more than almost any of the other defenders for the team. Him and McKeel Williams are sharing. I don't really know anything about this Williams guy. He's 7 million, but obviously was not with the team or even in the MLS last year because he's got 0 points. So St. Ledger has 100, but that is because he was with a different team where he started sometimes with Orlando. So Burling and Shawberry, those I think are your guys. And Shawberry, I think it would be kind of silly not to have him. He's 5.5 million, and he's like 6'9". I know that's an exaggeration, but he's a big dude. He's got a height advantage. I don't know if he's great with his head. I don't know if he really scored much last year. And I know he did get hurt last year, but I still think he's a fantastic option. Bobby Burling, my opinion, he's aggressive. He will probably get a couple red cards as the season goes on. That's just what happens, especially when you get fast guys making a break and you're the last defender and you know you got to take them out. it happens, and Burling's not afraid to do that. He's still a good defender. He's going to get a lot of clearances and things like that, bonus points wise. So, not terrible options, especially for the price there, because there's a lot of center defenders that are a lot more expensive than that. And the potential there for them is pretty good for the price you're getting them for. So, okay, so I'm looking at this starting lineup thing I found on the internet from goal.com, and they are saying this Williams guy I was talking about earlier is going to be a starter out on the left. I don't know anything about him. He's $7 million. I'm trying to avoid outside backs this year, only because the changes that they've made, a lot of the players aren't going to get as much of a benefit from those point changes as a lot of the center backs will. I mean, I know guys like Powell from Portland had a lot of interceptions last year. I think one of the most in the league, but I don't know. We'll see how it works. I mean, it's new, so I think it's going to be a learning curve, but I like center back. So we'll talk about the outside. We got that Williams guy, and then we got Eric Miller, $5.5 million. Another great cheap option. Obviously, Colorado's options are cheap because their defense in the past not been that great. It's a new year. Could start out great, could start out bad. You just don't know. So we'll move on to their midfield. It looks like on this sheet they have Michael Azira and Dylan Powers in the midfield, which Powers is on my team. He's had some ups and downs in his MLS career so far. I think his rookie year, he was like, wow, this guy's awesome. He's so young, too. I got to have him. And then last year, he was kind of in and out because coach just seems to like to mix the lineup up a lot, which is one of the more frustrating things, I think, with Colorado. You never really know who's going to start a game, especially as the season gets longer and more games are played and players are getting tired. But Dylan Powers, I think, is an incredible bargain at $7.5 million. He's great with crosses. He's great with through balls, even in a defensive role. He'll also probably get a benefit from the passing accuracy standpoint. I just think you got to go with him. If you're going to have a Colorado player, I think it should be Powers, personally. So other guy, Azira, I believe he was with a different team last year. I want to say San Jose, but I'm not entirely sure. So he's a bargain too. I mean, if this goals.com thing is correct, you're getting a defensive midfielder for $5.5 million. I mean, that's pretty dang cheap, It's probably not somebody you're going to want to start a lot, just because the potential for points with defensive backs or defensive midfielders is not great. I mean, they are trying to, with the point changes this year, make them a little more viable in the league. And time will tell. Basically, I mean, he's going to be $5.5 million probably for a while. I don't know if defensive midfielders really are going to get much above or below the average that makes the price change. So just keep him on your radar. He's a super cheap deal. If you want some bench players to try to build value, he might not. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. So moving to forwards, we've got Papa's still a midfielder. And he's going to be playing more of an attacking role this year, which is good. I mean, he's good. I think he's getting a little older, and I was on their website, and apparently he got stabbed or something in January. That's insane. I didn't know Colorado was that dangerous of a place. I lived there for a couple of years. So yeah, he's where is he? He's $8 million. It's a fair price for him. I think he'll get in the attack a lot. Colorado's going to need to have a better offense to compete more this year. So, I think he's valuable. I still think Powers is better, bang for your buck. But Papa is great. When he played with Seattle, he was great. So, It's a risk maybe, but I think it could work out well for you. The more I look at this list, the more I feel like bargain players are coming from Colorado. We're going to move to forwards, where we have Baji. And I do believe he played a bit last year, but not a lot. So he's looking like he's going to be out on the right wing. Um, he's $5 million. $5 million for a forward. I mean, you always want to try to find those players that are super cheap that are doing well. I mean, it's been more important in the past, but this year, basically getting $8 million more than we did any of the previous years. Um, so Baji, it could be a bargain, or you could just be somebody. If you have an extra million, you don't know what to do with it. You get him, put him on your bench, and hope that he scores every once in a while, and his price goes up. He is on the wing, which is not my favorite position this year. It's probably the least favorite of mine, wings and outside backs. So, it's a bargain. It's hard not to pick up a starter that's $5 million. But this year, I don't think you necessarily need to do that with the amount of money we have. So out on the left side, we have a man named Gashi. His first name, Skelzen. Skelzen. I don't know where he's from, but he's got a crazy name. And he must be pretty good. He must have a reputation because he's actually the most expensive person on the Colorado Rapids at $9 million. He's not played in the MLS yet. He has no history. He has no points from last year. Let me double check and make sure I'm right. Yeah, never played in the MLS. So, what to expect for him? No idea. It's really hard to gauge people that you've never heard of or don't know anything about. Could be good, but at $9 million for an unknown person that you don't know anything about, you don't know how he plays, it's really hard to pay that much money for him. So I'm avoiding it. I think most people probably will. So as far as the forwards go, Kevin Doyle, he did okay last year. I don't think he played a whole season. Says he played about 1,500 minutes, which is not the whole season. But he is starting out with the Rapids this year. He didn't have a ton of goals last year, but he's $8 million for starting forward, and I know he has potential. I know he can be and kind of needs to be a pretty big difference maker this year for the Rapids. My hopes are high for him. I hope he does well. I know. I feel like last year when they signed him, he's from the same place as Keane, and Keane was really excited to have him coming over to the MLS. So if Keane has high hopes for him too, I think everybody should. And I might be talking about the wrong guy. Feel free to correct me if you know it. But yeah, so hopefully the Colorado Rapids have a better year this year than they did last year. Maybe a new coach is in order. That's hard to say. I really don't know. But in review, I would say there's a lot of deals here. There's a lot of cheap options for starters, and the potential is there for them to do well. Colorado is not a bad team. They've not had a great couple of seasons, but their team hasn't changed a ton. They still have a lot of really good players and a lot of really cheap prices. So, guy I would definitely go with again is midfielder Powers. That would be number one. I think most people are going to have Showberry on their team just because he's so cheap. The center back, he's going to get a lot of bonuses. So that would be number two. And I think my third would actually be McMath. As a Union fan, it's hard to say because he really screwed us over a couple of times. But still, I think he's a great goalie. He's going to be good. And hopefully this is his year to do that. So that is Colorado in a nutshell.